2023 was the year that I almost gave up. After chasing my dream of becoming a full-time artist for nearly 8 years and failing time after time again, I decided that this was my last chance to prove to myself that I could actually do this. I was ready to accept that some things just don't work out, or that maybe I wasn't cut out to do this. To my surprise, 2023 ended up being the year that I experienced the most growth that I've ever had in all my years of making art. And after a year filled with some very intoxicating highs and some bitterly soul-crushing lows, I've come away with the 3 most important lessons I learned this year that completely transformed the way I approach creating art. And I just wanted to share them with you today as we head into this new year. The first key lesson that I learned this year is simple in principle, but so difficult in practice. And that is, being a perfectionist isn't a flex. Don't overthink every single piece of content or artwork that you create to the point that it starts to hinder you. Having respect for your craft is crucial as a creative, and I definitely understand how it feels to want everything you put out to be amazing. But you have to remember that it's okay if your work isn't perfect. It's okay if you don't feel ready to start something, and most importantly, it's okay to fail. I often find myself splitting hairs over things like not having perfect anatomy in my artwork or not being able to make my work look as aesthetic and polished as the popular Instagram artists. But reminding myself that I don't need to be an art god to share my work with the world or tell a story has been so liberating. When I tell myself, it's okay, it's just a drawing, keep going, it'll turn out all right in the end, I can feel the weight being lifted off my shoulders. And if you're someone who struggles with perfectionism to the point that it becomes suffocating, like me, I would like to encourage you to speak to yourself like this too. Give yourself a little grace and allow yourself to be imperfect. And also, hit the like button if that sounds like good advice. The next important lesson I learned is the importance of storytelling. In this new age of AI, where so much computer-generated artwork is flooding into our feeds, I just feel like it's not good enough to create art just for beauty's sake anymore. At least for me. Making something that's just pretty with no substance is a job that a machine can do with just a few keyboard taps. When you're competing with technology that can infinitely spawn beauty, I believe that it's more important than ever to refocus on ways to connect to humanity through your artwork. To me, this means finding ways to engage people by creating work that either tells a story or makes people feel something, preferably both. Humans have been captivating each other through storylines since the dawn of mankind. It's foolproof. Humans will always like stories. And this is definitely not a new concept, but it is one that's taken me a very, very long time to understand. When I think about the work that some of my favorite creators do, I realize that the reason I love it so much isn't just because of the skill, but because it makes me feel something. And the pieces that I actually love the most are the ones that tell a story. When I look at AI art, sure, I might be captivated by its beauty, but I find myself eventually wanting more substance. Looking at AI art feels hollow. The work feels disposable, especially nowadays when it's just so easy to produce. It feels spammy and cheap. I would rather connect to an artist. I want to know the process that the human being took in making the artwork. I want to hear about their inspiration, and I think that people who appreciate art will always value the human behind the creation. So in 2024, I want to try to create more work that has substance and not just fan art or pop culture stuff. I want to make original work that really resonates with people. So wish me luck. Now, the single most important lesson that I learned this year was that art is a business and I need to treat it like one. I've tried for many years to pursue my dream of becoming a full-time artist. In that time, I would find myself going through frequent cycles of debilitating depression and artistic stagnation before finding the strength to continue my journey again. In hindsight, I realize now that one of the reasons why this cycle kept repeating itself for so long is because, despite claiming to want to make a living as a full-time artist, I had no idea how to do that. I thought that if I just kept posting enough and grinding for a large follower count, then eventually the money and the opportunities would come. And when it didn't, because I had no strategy and I wasn't seeing any returns on the effort I was putting in, it just kept leading to severe burnout. I was overly worried about my follower count when I should have been focusing more on the business side of being a self-employed creative. You don't even need a large following to be successful. Things like understanding your target audience and building a relationship with them are way more important than having a massive follower count. To be honest, this is probably going to be the hardest lesson for me to fully learn. I'm not someone who has a lot of resources, and I'm not naturally business savvy. All I want is to be able to make artwork and inspire people, and I know that a lot of creatives actually feel the same way. But most of the work you do as a creator isn't even related to drawing. It's marketing, it's video editing, it's entrepreneurship, it's consistent content creation, and a social media rat race. These were things that I knew nothing about when I decided that this was the path I wanted to take. But understanding that I'm essentially a small business owner now has been transformative in the way that I look at my art, for better or for worse. So, in 2024, I intend to work on all of these principles. I'm going to keep reminding myself to embrace imperfection and actually enjoy the process of creating my artwork. Start with the big picture, then work your way down. I'm going to try my best to incorporate the story of every piece of work I create. Stories help give artwork so much more meaning, if you can draw people in. And I'm starting to understand now that being a social media artist means being a content creator, and it's a job that incorporates both creativity and business acumen. So I'll really need to focus on the business aspect of this more, despite how uncomfortable it feels. It'll be interesting to see how this all pans out in 2024. So wish me luck. Thank you for listening, and I will see you all again very soon. Bye!